Alana O'Brien, the TikTok creator who went viral for her early modern appearance and various cosplays, who started a trend of artists drawing her for free in exchange for exposure.
You look so drawable. I would love to be drawn. Everyone commenting, asking for permission, you do not have to. Just tag.
Only to lose all of that admiration by first partnering with Meta AI in a sponsorship and then later be exposed as a raging racist is once again trending on social media. And this time it's not actually her who I have an issue with. I made a video talking about her a few months ago, so if you want full context, please watch that. I've linked it up here. Essentially, she had a bunch of artists drawing her, making edits of her for free, and then shortly after she partnered with Meta AI and she made an ad wherein she says, "Imagine me as a Renaissance painting," and then she asked Meta AI to generate her in the Renaissance style, which was hurtful to a lot of artists as they were drawing her in the Renaissance style and various other styles for free. And the sponsorship kind of contradicted everything that she seemingly stood for up until that point. Weeks later, she was seen liking posts that were pro-colonial, anti-immigration, liking comments that say white girls will always be better looking, and saying that footage of children starving in Gaza is all propaganda. Most ironic is that she is currently based in Australia whilst having the surname O'Brien, which indicates Irish ancestry, which means she is either an immigrant herself or a descendant of immigrants. In response to the initial wave of criticism, she essentially said, "Hee hee, I'm just a girl, I need money, I'm an artist just like you guys, and also Palestine is a faraway land, so like why do we even care?" Since then her popularity kind of faded, but she kept on posting her cosplays and dance videos, and last week one of them blew up again. And the public response is mostly negative, but this time she's not getting dogpiled for her lack of morals, not for her supporting Meta or being a racist, but for this. This is the video. That's right, a video of her cosplaying as the Ice Age baby, eating a watermelon. A face only two siblings could create. You don't look medieval, you look medical. I hate you so much. Hey, I think we should bring back colonialism. Immigrants are terrorists and rapists. Genocide isn't that serious. Oh my god! What are you doing? What are you doing with that watermelon? What the fuck? You look like that. Ew, you're so ugly. What is that? Is that a skin condition? Oh my god, are you inbred? What am I? Ew! Ew! I can excuse being a terrible person, but I draw the line at ugliness. Y'all think I'm exaggerating. I don't care if she's right-wing or left-wing, she's just fucking hideous and I hate seeing her on my FYP all the goddamn time. I don't care if she's racist, I found her ugly from the beginning. People have just found a socially and morally acceptable way to be mean without being the bad guy. A couple people even made videos mocking her. I mean, this is just... What are we doing? We've completely lost the plot. This is ad hominem at its finest. So many people don't even know what she's done in the past and they're just kind of jumping at the opportunity to make fun of somebody. I want to revisit this topic because a lot of people are in comment sections being like, guys, what did she do? Like, why is everybody so mean to her? And people were kind of saying, go to Lucy's video, like they were linking my video, like this is what she did. And I think that video reached a lot of people who were not only unfamiliar with me and my content, but they also didn't really understand the purpose of public commentary. So I just want to do a follow-up and give some further context and clarification. But actually, okay, let's just get the AI thing out of the way. I don't want to linger on that too long because it's like really the tamer thing that she's done here. And it's like, we've seen so many creators and companies sell out to AI at this point. It's like, okay, disappointed but not surprised. And I'm not trying to downplay the feelings of anybody who poured so much work into drawing her, making a painting of her, only for her to turn out completely unlikable. I do think it's hypocritical. I also think that I'm a hypocrite. I do sponsorships. You're a hypocrite. Introspection is hard. Moral consistency is hard, and just navigating a public image is also hard, and I don't say this in defense of her, like this is all just retrospect of the situation. Somebody commented under another one of my videos that we have no choice but to have a visceral reaction to companies and people selling out to AI because that's the only way that they will listen to us and stop doing that in the future. And I do believe that. I still stand by that. I still vehemently hate AI. I do think we need to keep rallying to protect our artwork and our privacy with the same fervor that we always have. I still think the AI sponsorship is unacceptable unacceptable. But I do want to say that in that video, when I was talking about her AI partnership, I was already like preemptively angry about all the other like racist stuff that was to come. There is something to be said about advertising for Meta specifically, and yeah, I do know that like, you know, Meta and AI are so pervasive at this point, and I use Instagram, and you probably also use Instagram, and AI is inevitable, etc., etc. That also means that the Meta partnership is endorsing a brand that has had, you know, it's not only the AI use, but also the multiple scandals surrounding surveillance, data leaks, supporting Mr. Zuck. It's really not the AI thing alone that is sparking so much hurt and outrage, just to make that very, very clear. But I am very disappointed by the people treating it as if it's worse than the racism. I want to give the benefit of the doubt because the whole AI scandal came first, and then after that I think a lot of people just stopped following her. But I do feel like the general sentiment back then was like, oh, the racism thing is whatever, but like, how dare you use AI? Already back then it's like, where are our priorities right now? And I feel like there was already this desire to just like hate somebody without really talking about accountability and having a broader conversation about human rights. And not naming any names, I saw a couple YouTube channels that were also doing commentary on Alana, and they were literally using AI generated thumbnails, and it's like, what are we doing? I think since then, my reputation as a commentary YouTuber is that I'm nuanced, I'm empathetic, I'm well-researched, and I'm not saying that to eat my own ass. It's just like what, like I've read a lot of comments saying that, and I'm glad you guys feel that way about me. But if you watch my Alana video, this was like my angriest, harshest, most unforgiving piece of commentary. And there's a reason for that, which is that Alana is a raging bigot. If you look at my other topics, it's like people, companies, yeah, doing unacceptable things, but on a milder scale. Nobody was outwardly like anti-human rights. Well, point is, for me personally, if you are anti-human rights, you don't get my grace. But even in that video, I was saying, do not make fun of her looks. Why are people making fun of her looks? Why? Because it not only affects her, it affects girls who look like her. So many people calling her inbred, that is out of her control. There's so many girls who probably have similar facial features as her who were bullied for it, who finally found a creator who they could look up to for representation. And I didn't want to say it in my initial video because it feels wrong to compliment somebody in a video where I'm trying to hold someone accountable for like racism and not giving a shit about genocide. But in all honesty, I think she's pretty. I do. I'm not just saying that to like be like a fucking saint. I think she's pretty, and I like her cosplays. I do. I think she's resourceful with the way she like pieces her outfits together. I'm not defending her. I'm not trying to excuse her behavior. People were bringing up my video as the reason as to why people are being mean to her, but I specifically said, do not look shame. I even said, don't give her engagement. Like, I just don't think there's any good reason to call somebody ugly. Why are people criticizing her for a regular ass cosplay when she's actually done bad things? People don't care about her being racist or an AI supporter. They just want an excuse to mock an ugly person. I hate how much the internet has normalized bullying these past few years. Yeah, thank you. Can we keep it relevant, please? It's really frustrating because there are actual things that we need to be holding certain people accountable for, and y'all are just going for personal attacks. So many people being like, oh, I hated her from the start. Like, I thought she was ugly from the start. I never liked her. Do you want a cookie for just hating somebody unprompted? This is what she wants, y'all. She was never deterred by internet hate, and this is actually one of the reasons why she became popular in the first place, and I genuinely found it commendable the way she would respond to hate. In all honesty, like, the video where she was like, please draw me, paint me, make edits of me, that video was in response to a comment that says, you look easy to draw. You look easy to draw is an insult. It's meant to suggest that like, oh, you have really weird looking but bland features that makes you distinguishable from most people in a negative way. People have been making fun of her looks for a long time, and she never gave a fuck, at least not publicly. And now she's got virality again because of it. Great job, guys. Ice Age Baby is also a very common look-shaming insult, and her cosplay was literally in response to people saying she looked like the Ice Age Baby, and they meant that in a mean way.
Ice Age Baby? Yes, let's do a look inspired by the Ice Age Baby.
And I think it's a huge double standard because I've seen conventionally pretty girls do cosplays that can be seen as like more just like grotesque and out there, and the comments are filled with praise, like calling her camp and cunty and edgy and so cool and creative. And just to clear up a few more things in my initial video, because there were some things I said that could have been articulated better and they got misconstrued. So she liked a post that was like, child breaks character during propaganda recording session, and when people were like, hey, why are you liking this post, she was like, yeah, I don't believe in videos, I believe in statistical evidence. And I basically said that, okay, there is staged footage, and people thought I meant that as in like, okay, like there is like fake propaganda in Gaza and like some of that suffering is fake. That is not what I meant to say at all. I was simply speaking in general about how we shouldn't take any piece of media at face value. Anything could be staged, anything could be AI generated. I'm not trying to say like, oh my god, all that suffering is just fake. And then I said something like, have you actually looked at any statistical evidence? And then I kind of just trailed off because firstly, I didn't have the articulation skills, and secondly, I was scared of my channel getting taken down for talking about genocide. But just to be clear, I do not think statistical evidence is sufficient information to understand any one conflict, especially not what's going on in Palestine. I do think you need to examine media and historical context. I also want to add that in that video, I accidentally used the word Aboriginal in a derogatory way, which I did not know at the time, and I also call a light-skinned girl dark skin. The reason why I didn't bring it up during recording, but I think I should anyway, is because I already talked about it in a video that I posted a few months ago, where it was just some things that I've gotten incorrect or inaccurate on the channel, just to clear a few things up so that we can all like learn together. You can watch that here, but yeah, just so you know, I'm aware, and thank y'all for telling me. Okay, back to the video. I think what caused the most amount of discourse was this cosplay that she did where she claims that she's a crow / biblical angel. Half the internet was being like, oh my god, that's not blackface, you guys are reading into it way too deep, and then other people were saying it was blackface, you need to look at context clues. I did not declare in that video whether or not it was blackface. I was simply like, what does this look like to you guys? I never even said the word blackface in that video, yet people knew exactly what I was referring to. Even the people who were like vehemently denying that it was that, which I think is quite telling. I do think it's just a little too congruent with the rest of her behavior, the rest of the things that she was saying. Call me woke, call me oversensitive. I think it's limit testing. I think it's rage bait. I think it's approximating something problematic with just enough plausible deniability for it to not be that thing, so that when people hold you accountable for doing that thing, they get called crazy. Especially when the only crow who I know who has blazing red overdrawn lips is our dear Mr. Jim Crow. Sure, you could say, no, she didn't do blackface, in the same way that the girls in middle school who were pulling their eyes in front of me weren't being racist to me. No, they were just scratching their eyes. They had something in their eyes. I think it's the same shit. Because now that for the most part, it's no longer socially acceptable to be outwardly racist, maybe it's not what she's doing, but this is what racist people do. Instead of doing blackface, they'll like approximate blackface. Instead of saying a slur, they'll say a word that rhymes with that slur. They drop dog whistles, they drop microaggressions, and I think it's important to pick up on that in order to stop racist behavior as a whole. Do I think that every single makeup look that is a full face of black is inherently racist? Obviously not, but I do think in general we're letting too much shit slide and eventually escalate. In our current social climate, I just don't know why you'd even want to be this provocative, even if it isn't full-on blackface. I do think it's a way of being deliberately controversial so as to gain publicity, which as we've seen is a proven tactic of hers. At the same time, I can also believe it when she said in her apology video that she wasn't really aware of blackface and how severe it is, because being uneducated often leads to bigotry. The most like racist, discriminatory demographics are usually the least educated. Just look at the US. A couple people were saying, that's not blackface because black people don't look like that, and if you think black people look like that, you are just racist. Which I think is just such a silly take. The whole point of blackface is that it's an exaggerated mockery of black people. Obviously, it doesn't accurately resemble them. Do you think this accurately resembles me? Fuck no. Obviously, I don't think black people have jet black skin and like overdrawn red lips. For this particular situation, I don't even think the whole blackface debate is worth fixing on, because it doesn't absolve the rest of Alana's behavior. It doesn't make her any less racist. And as for this Ice Age baby cosplay, just to be clear, I don't have an issue with it. I don't think she's deliberately cosplaying as like an indigenous character to be offensive. I don't think eating a watermelon is some sort of like Zionist dog whistle. I do think she's just rage baiting and responding to hate comments by dressing up as a character who she's often been compared to in the way that she's been doing throughout her social media career. The baby eats a watermelon in the Ice Age movie, in case y'all didn't know. But since the whole controversy, She's just been dancing and playing dress up. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. She hasn't spread any more hateful rhetoric as far as I know, and it almost seems like she's trying to garner more bullying sent her way in order to make sort of a martyr out of herself in order to earn forgiveness for her past behavior. And honestly, the internet is just giving her ammunition. I do think if you're gonna be hateful, you know, if you're gonna be predatory, racist, sexist, etc., you should not be platformed. Why? Because social media has no space for nuance or critical view. It's not a controlled space like a lecture hall where people do close readings of Sylvia Plath dropping the hard R in her poetry. On platforms like TikTok and Instagram, where you're just spreading racist rhetoric, that is very, very dangerous. Acting on those beliefs leads to lives lost. And I'm not saying to censor different worldviews or belief systems, because that is literally just fascism, but I think racism is just hatred, and I don't think hatred deserves to qualify as a belief system. Lots of bigots don't want to admit their bigotry, so they will hide behind some sort of belief system as a smokescreen, or they try to like intellectualize their hatred by making up some sort of pseudoscientific BS, but that is a conversation for another day. What I find so weird is that during the initial drama, her defenders would be like, you just want to hate on other women, you just want to hate on small creators, you know, you're the bigot because you're not a girl's girl. I don't care if you're a woman, if you're a small creator, if you're like marginalized in some way or another, because that does not excuse you being a terrible person. School teachers have it hard. They work long hours, they get paid rough wages, and kids are fucking impossible to deal with, but they're not all morally good. One of my middle school teachers was a nonce. He followed some girls home on the train and started asking them really creepy questions. One of my other teachers was a raging TERF, is a raging TERF, she still works there, and who devoutly thinks that gender affirming care is mutilation and madness. But I know if I gave those teachers like a random stray on this channel, people would vehemently jump to their defense because, oh, how dare you like shame this low-wage worker, how dare you shame a school teacher who works with children. The internet is so reductionist, it's really exasperating. Like, can we please stop attaching good morals to marginalized people just because they're marginalized? That is circular reasoning. It's so fucking dumb. It is literally still stereotyping, it is still tokenizing, it is still seeing them as this like morally good monolith. And for this specific situation, like, oh, you just want to tear down a small creator, you're just jealous. She's not a small creator, she has hundreds of thousands of followers, okay? And again, lest we forget, pro-colonial, anti-immigrant, white people are more attractive. Hello? This is what people mean when they say, oh, if you swing too far left, you're actually right. I think it's a consequence of anti-intellectualism where people just want to regurgitate social justice slogans like, oh, girls support girls, protect small businesses, and then they don't actually assess the situation or do any, like, reading. Same shit with the Patagonia lawsuit. People were like, oh, if you read this lawsuit, you're fascist. Like, please be for real. And if you think criticizing a public figure for being a bigot is bullying, bless your heart. That's like, if I set somebody on fire and then some of the flames like get on my shirt sleeve and I throw a tantrum accusing the person I set on fire as being an arsonist. I think I also used an arson analogy in my initial video. And it's what bigots sound like when they're like spreading hateful rhetoric and then they like get kicked out of a bar or they get fired from their job and then all of a sudden they start crying about discrimination. If you are a hateful individual, obviously you're not welcome in communities that are supposed to be safe spaces. And being like, okay, you're a Nazi, you're a racist, so like you're not allowed in my bar, you're not allowed in my restaurant. That is not discrimination. That is not hate. That is reactionary safeguarding. Commentary and accountability are not bullying. You know what's bullying is making fun of somebody's looks. People were calling her so beautiful, like, oh, Renaissance beauty, like, you're so timeless, you're so nostalgic, you look like you came straight out of a painting, and now they're just backtracking. If you were one of those people being like, oh, she's so ugly, she's cringe, she's inbred, genuinely, like, what's wrong with you? You're not a feminist, you're not an activist, your reposts are performative. And if you comment mean things under Alana's post, like, oh my god, stop posting, this is so cringe, like, do you think we're gonna forgive you? Your social media platforms are just gonna give you more of her. And since posting my first video about her, like, obviously I got a lot of negativity because people were like, you're just jealous and you're so emotional, and people were like making fun of my looks too. I thought about it a lot, and for a while I was like, you know what, maybe they're right, like maybe I am being too dramatic, maybe I am a little bit jealous, but having seen just like the things that are happening in the world right now and the way people are treating Alana now with this new comeback of hers, I don't think I was angry enough. I have no choice but to be hung up on racism because racism affects me, it affects my loved ones, and I think if you're pro-human rights in any capacity, you should be angry too. Like, why aren't you angry? As long as black people are getting shot in their homes, as long as Asian people are getting spat on and pushed into traffic, indigenous communities are dying out, we should be angry at any ounce of racism, any ounce of homophobia, misogyny, etc. Why are we getting sidetracked by something as vapid as somebody's appearance? It's the stupidest shit ever. Again, accountability is not hatred. Accountability is safeguarding. Commentary is discourse, and it's spreading awareness about acceptable behavior. I think that's all I wanted to add today. I hope it clears some things up. I hope it was an informative update. And I know there's probably a couple more things that I said in that first video that I like either, you know, could have articulated better or I just no longer stand by. But bottom line is, don't just like see one thing and then jump to conclusions. This whole like discovering that Alana is a racist and white supremacist was, you know, a combination of a series of context clues and a series of conversations. If y'all are like, where's the evidence? Like, I feel like y'all are just making this shit up, or like she said one thing and then y'all took it out of context. There are receipts on my initial video. Please stop sending hate in Alana's direction. If you don't like her, then just don't give her any engagement. Otherwise, you are paying her bills. Congratulations. All right, y'all. Take care.